If you're watching a team sport and you only want to watch one person on the team, I just don't think that that's sustainable.
She's the savior of the WNBA.
Folks on the left and the right are a little mystified about this Epstein news.
There's no evidence whatsoever that he blackmailed anybody.
What do you do to clean this up? I think the WNBA is a failed enterprise. I think it's ridiculous. I think that it's been overhyped. I think Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player for a female basketball player. I think she's got a lot of endorsement opportunities, and I think that she is a star. But I think that the WNBA, not just because they're so jealous of her, but just the WNBA and the way that they conduct themselves, the way that it's organized, the way the rest of their players act and behave, I just think it's a failure and a flop, and I don't think it's savable. But I wonder if you have more optimism than I do.
Well, the optimism would come from Caitlin Clark. So you're objectively true, by the way. I mean, the WNBA has never turned a profit. It is a failed enterprise in terms of an ongoing business concern that generates a profit, which dictates the future of any business. You can't be in the red forever. You have to get in the black to show you're a viable business. The only reason the WNBA has been able to live as long as it have, constantly generating negative returns in the red, is because of the subsidies coming from the NBA that subsidizes the WNBA's ability to exist. Now, in that, it is shocking how much entitlement there is among the WNBA athletes and those that run the league in not acknowledging sort of how they've been received by the American public and how dependent they are on other, specifically NBA players and the NBA as a business enterprise and their owners for existence. They talk about the salary disparities. They talk about they should be making more. They talk about, the quality of their travel, whatever it may be. They complain about signing autographs at times. You can see these videos. You are in something where you should be appreciative of everything helping you exist. And at the top of that list now is Caitlin Clark. She's the savior of the WNBA. I saw Christine Brennan, not somebody that I really agree with very much, on Fox News this morning.
Me too.
And she said, Caitlin Clark, and I thought about it, it's kind of interesting, is more important than Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky in terms of what she means to her league. Jordan put the NBA on the map, but so did Bird and Johnson, Magic and Bird. And, LeBron comes along afterwards. These are stars that keep that league going. Jordan was really important. Gretzky was really important in putting hockey on a national, international map. But it's only Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. We see the difference when she's in a game, when she's not in a game, ratings and so forth. And these ladies, you saw this, Tommy, I'm sure, just placed her 9th in all-star voting for guards. And she, in the way she's been treated, both at the league level and the player level, they are killing the two reasons for their existence. Like the entitlement of what they should get paid, not being appreciated for being subsidized, and the one player that can carry them into actual popularity, an actual business concern, and they seem to hate her for it. So the only reason the WNBA might not fulfill your dystopian future of them, Tommy, is because of Caitlin Clark and how far she can take the WNBA.
Yeah, I don't know, though, if it can all ride on her shoulders. I think that it can't just be one person, and I think that there's a newness of it. And congratulations to her, right? But people loved watching her in college, and then now she's been in the WNBA for, a year? So I think there's still a newness of watching her. But if you're watching a team sport and you only want to watch one person on the team, I just don't think that that's sustainable. I'd also say this to your entitlement point. I talked about this last week, but I want your take on it. So one of the other girls that people appreciate, the Sophie Cunningham, she's obviously a very pretty girl. She's defended Caitlin Clark, so people are like, go her, right? Which is great. But when talking about the 3 expansion teams that the WNBA was gifted, and I say gifted, I don't think earned, gifted, okay? She said, well, I don't want to play in Detroit and Cleveland. I want to play in Nashville or Miami. And my thought is, I have never, now I only care about baseball, but I have never heard about an expansion team. Let's just be honest with the MLB. Like, we would love to get an expansion team in Nashville for the MLB. Charlotte would love to have one. There are a lot of places that want expansion teams and a lot of athletes that want them. I can't imagine watching any top baseball player, whatever, say but I don't want to play there. I want to play here. And to me, that just goes back to the entitlement of it all. It's a league that's quite frankly a flop. and you're complaining because you have to play in Detroit and Cleveland.
Wow. I never thought about it through that lens that you just described it. I mean, I did when she said that, I thought she's right. Like, who wants to go to Detroit? Nothing, no offense, Michigan, no offense to Detroit, but it's not like a thriving city. And there are growing markets like Nashville. Like, these are growing markets.
Do you think the WNBA could get an audience in Nashville?
I don't know if the WNBA can get an audience anywhere outside of the game that's being played by Caitlin Clark. So that's not a Detroit versus Nashville thing. It's just like, can the WNBA draw a crowd wherever they go? And I think that that's what they should solve, wherever it is.
Yeah. To me, it's super entitled. And by the way, just speaking from experience, she wants to play in Miami, whatever. Okay, Miami might get crowds for Heat games or maybe Dolphins games, but the Miami Marlins, they get almost no attendance. So this whole thing of like, but if we played in a hot city, then people would come watch us. Well, they don't even go watch their own baseball team. And the same thing with Nashville. You're not going to get a crowd for the WNBA in Nashville. You're not. You're going to get a bigger crowd, as I said last week, by, I think, 10 times with the Savannah Bananas. More so than the WNBA. I don't care if Caitlin Clark comes out and signs autograph for every single person there. The Savannah Bananas will still fill a stadium faster than the WNBA. But that's just my thing on it. I want to see women do well, but I don't believe in propping up failing things just for like the virtue signal of it all. And that's where I stand with the WNBA.
We'll see. It's been a long time. Some businesses have to run in the red sometimes before they get to the black. But it's been a long time for the WNBA, and now their best opportunity is right here in front of them, and it looks like they're trying to kill the golden goose.
I think the folks on the left and the right are a little mystified and confused about this Epstein news, that he did kill himself, that he, I guess, didn't have a client list, and that he didn't use that client list or whatever went on the island and the plane and all that to blackmail high-profile individuals. There are a lot of people on the right who are also a little taken aback because they didn't expect to hear this out of an AG Pam Bondi or Kash Patel. And there are some people who feel like they're being lied to or something's being covered up. I think everyone loves like this Epstein conspiracy theory, and that's kind of sick that people love to talk about it so much because it's so gross. But do you think that there's room for some criticism here? And do you feel like we're being given the whole truth?
No, I don't think we're getting the whole truth. And yes, I think there's room for criticism. So, first of all, if there is a belief that there's more to this story, that belief can, at least in part, be attributed to the words of Attorney General Pam Bondi, who just a few months ago was making much bigger promises about this story to end up with what we got today. You know, the two pieces of news to start that you could say, well, those could be technically true. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. That's what they say. Okay, I could accept that. You know, it doesn't mean somebody came in and did it, but that doesn't mean that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't under some pressure, wasn't told about what his future might look like or what he would be forced to expose. It leaves a lot of gaps in that suicide that doesn't just answer all the questions that, oh, nothing else was involved, the story isn't bigger. He didn't have a client list. What does that mean? He didn't have a printed out Word document. He didn't have one on his computer. He didn't have a notes app in his phone. He didn't have official lists somewhere. But yet we know other people were around Jeffrey Epstein. We know high profile, important individuals were often around Jeffrey Epstein. And not just around him, but on his plane, at his island, around these young girls as well. So was there a formal client list? I don't even know what that tells me. The hardest one for me to accept, though, is that there's no evidence whatsoever that he blackmailed anybody. Okay, I accept that this is a story, like you said, that the internet loves and has come to believe that is deeper. And maybe we need to accept, you know, what is it? Is it Occam's razor that the simplest explanation is usually the easiest explanation? And you have to have evidence to back things up. But the life of Jeffrey Epstein, the connections of Jeffrey Epstein, his relationship to Ghislaine Maxwell defy logical, rational, easy to wave your hand away, nothing to see here explanations. They just do not easily lend themselves to what we're given today. And I have a hard time believing there's not more to the blackmail potential issue, the people that were involved with him, why he lived a life, the way he lived his life, walked through his life, stumbling upon success, stumbling into big-time relationships, got easy charges, light charges and plea bargains with the government. there is more, I have to believe, to this story. And even if the FBI tells me that there's not evidence to suggest that right now, I'm sorry. I think there's more to the story. Jeffrey Epstein's story is not explicable.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, to the kind of rightful criticism here of the DOJ and maybe Pam Bondi herself, who I really respect and admire, I think, to me, the few months back when they had the so-called right-wing influencers standing out with the binders, I thought that whole thing was such an embarrassment. I had secondhand embarrassment watching it. I thought it was such a bad PR move. I thought it was tone deaf, insensitive, and stupid. But to go from I have the binders to now flash forward a few months later and it's like a closed deal, you're going to create conversation. And you've just given the left, by the way, a lot of ammo. And especially because of this Elon Musk accusation a couple months or a month back about, well, Trump's on the list. I mean, now you've just fed into that whole narrative. So I think that this was an unforced error. I don't know how they clean it up, though, Will. I mean, what do you do to clean this up and to really convince people that you are giving us the truth?
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, they've now completely dismissed the entire story, basically, right? So, and it's just to your point, for Bondi specifically, it's so different than the story she was telling us a few months ago and the expectations she led us to believe on what she was going to uncover and expose and what she already had. And so why were you saying that stuff? You said you had this on your desk and you're pouring through it. And now nothing? I don't know how these particular individuals right now, I don't know how they unring the spell. And I'm not optimistic we ever fully get the truth on Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if we'll ever be allowed. I think the story's super deep. I really do. I think it's not just about, I think it's super deep, and there are a lot of vested interests and connections of Jeffrey Epstein that will ensure that we can't fully know what was going on.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.